So for this video, I'm going to be doing my 5-star predictions video. I haven't done one of these in a while. Hopefully y'all are interested in watching this. I'm usually not great at predicting which books I'm going to give 5 stars. I do hope, however, that a lot of these books, or at least some of them, do end up being 5 stars because so far this year, strangely enough, I've really only had one true 5-star. I've given a bunch of rereads 5 stars, but obviously, if I'm rereading them, that doesn't count. I only have one 5-star book. That's Just Like Home by Sarah Gailey. Love that book. So far, my favorite book of the year, and I've given tons of books this year, like 4 and 4.5 stars. Like I just read You Like It Darker by Stephen King. Almost perfect. Well, I won't say almost perfect, but it was almost just enough to get 5 stars. But a couple of the stories, were kind of okay. But yeah, so a lot of books I've given 4.5 stars. And like I said, hopefully a lot of the books that are over here on the side, I do end up giving 5 stars. And yeah, I'm pretty excited to chat about I can't even talk today. I'm excited to chat with y'all about these. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into it. So let's first talk about the books that I don't own, or, books that haven't even come out yet, because I got to edit them into here. So we'll do that first. The first book I have to talk about is All the Sinners Bleed by S.A. Cosby. Now, I love S.A. Cosby. So far, my favorites by him have been Blacktop Wasteland, my second favorite book that I read last year. Loved it. I also loved Razorblade Tears, and I really did enjoy My Darkest Prayer. All the Sinners Bleed is the only kind of one of his newer novels that I haven't read yet. It came out, I think, either last year or maybe even the year before. I don't remember. But it's been a while, and I've been meaning to get to it. And I'm going to try to get to it this year, and I'm definitely anticipating it being 5 stars because I've given a couple of his books 5 stars, including Blacktop Wasteland, which I just loved so much. So yeah, I'm definitely anticipating this. If it's not 5 stars, I'm definitely going to enjoy it because I love his writing style and I love his characters. So I don't anticipate not loving this book. So it's definitely warranted being on my 5-star predictions video. Another book that I'm extremely excited to read is Dear Hannah by Zoe Stage. And this is, of course, the long-awaited sequel of Baby Teeth, one of my all-time favorite horror novels. And I'm super excited to see what she does with the story. I haven't really read any kind of summary of it because I just want to go in knowing nothing. I just am so curious. Like I said, Baby Teeth, one of my favorites. It does end in a place where you're like, okay, there is room for a sequel, but I'm just clueless as to what she's going to do with it. And I'm so excited, and I can't imagine a world where I don't give this book 5 stars. So yeah, it's probably, if it's not number 1, it's at least number 2 of the books on here that I'm very confident that I'm going to give 5 stars. The other book, of course, that I'm super confident that I'm going to give 5 stars, definitely one of the most anticipated reads for me, is Wind and Truth by Brandon Sanderson. Of course, this is the long-awaited book 5 of the Stormlight Archive, which comes out, I think, in either November or December of this year. Of course, Stormlight Archive is my second favorite series of all time. I've given the rest of the books, all 4 books, 5 stars. Kind of weirdly in descending order, like Way of Kings is my favorite, and then, Words of Radiance is my second favorite, so on and so forth. But they're all 5-star books. It's just a really epic, awesome series with some of my all-time favorite characters. In book 5, it's very anticipated because it's actually the end of the first arc of Stormlight Archive. So there's going to be 10 books, but each set of 5 books tells like a complete story. So I'm very interested to see how this all wraps up. I'm really hoping that Sanderson sticks the landing. I haven't been a big fan of some of his endings, like Mistborn Era 1, book 3 of that was definitely my least favorite. So hopefully Wind and Truth sticks the landing. So yeah, I'm definitely anticipating it being 5 stars because I've given all of the other books 5 stars. And the last book that I don't own physically, I do have the audio, but I'm probably going to wait until July to read it for the Battle of the Bands readathon because it's so short. That would be Stepping Off by Jordan Sonnenblick. And this is actually his newest book. I've read a ton of his middle grade stuff, of course, Drums, Girls, and Dangerous Pie being my favorite, but a bunch of other ones. Like I said, this is his newest one, and I'm even more excited because the audiobook is done. Can you guess who it is? Kirby Hayborn, my favorite. So combining those two is going to be a lot of fun. Yeah, I purposely haven't really read up on what this one is about. I'm going to jump in knowing nothing, and I've given a lot of Sonnenblick books either like 4.5 or 5 stars, so I'm excited. All right, so the rest of the books I own physically here, so let's jump into it. A book that I'm going to try to get to in the month of June. If I don't get to it, I'm probably going to push it back to like August, like after the readathon, but hopefully I'll have enough time to read it in June. That would be Lords of Uncreation by Adrian Tchaikovsky, which is the third and final book in the Final Architecture trilogy, if I can get that on screen. But yeah, the reason why I'm throwing this in here is because each of the books has gotten better and better. So the first book, Shards of Earth, I gave 4 stars. And then the second book, The Eyes of the Void, I gave 4.5 stars, which kind of focused on one of my favorite characters in the series, or my favorite character in the series. So I'm hoping that this book not only sticks the landing, but actually, gets better and better as the series goes on. And I'm really curious to see where it goes, especially after the end of book 2 and kind of what we learn about what's going on. And yeah, I'm super excited to get the conclusion. And yeah, I'm not gonna be super mad if I end up giving it like 4.5 stars, but I'm really hoping it's gonna be a new favorite and really cements this as one of the best sci-fi trilogies that I've ever read. Another series that I'm excited to continue is the Rose of the War Throne series by Peter McLean. And this is, of course, book 2, Priest of Lies, which is the sequel to the first book in the series, Priest of Bones, which I really enjoyed. I gave it 4.5 stars, and I'm going to hope to continue with it. And hopefully the books, like with some other series, just gets better and better. And yeah, I don't really know quite the direction it's going to go in after reading book 1, but I'm definitely excited because it's actually a dark fantasy that I really love. A dark fantasy can kind of be hit or miss for me, but this one definitely feels like it's going to be a new favorite. I love the main character and all the family dynamics and how, dark and brutal it can get. So yeah, I'm very excited to check out Priest of Lies. Hopefully, it's slightly better than the first book, and I give it 5 stars. Another easy pick for me is going to be an author that's one of my all-time favorites, probably in my top 5, if not definitely top 10. I've given most of her books 5 stars, so it's not really that bold of a prediction, to be honest, because most of them, I think I've read maybe like 6 books by her, and I've given 5 of them 5 stars, so, or maybe 4, I don't know. I love her books. And I'm, of course, talking about Taylor Jenkins Reid, and there's only 2 books that I haven't read by her yet. Forever Interrupted, which is the one I'm predicting to give 5 stars. And then after I do, I'm not going to predict to give that one 5 stars. I think that one's going to be more on like the relationship side of things, whereas this one I think is going to focus more on the grief aspect because it's about someone who is recently turned into a widow, their spouse dies, and I think it's going to be about that aspect. But we'll see. I don't really know too much about it going in. But the track record for me reading Taylor Jenkins Reid, I'm going to love this book. Whether I give it 4.5 or 5 stars, we'll see. But it's not really that bold of a prediction for me because I love all of her books. Another book I'm going to go with is also by one of my all-time favorite authors. And I'm actually going to be reading this during July for the Battle of the Bands readathon. Me and Ian from Ian the Reader, which I'll link down below, we made a buddy read for this. So if you want to read this book with us and potentially give it 5 stars, we'll see. But we'll link all that down below. But yeah, we're going to be buddy reading Norwegian Wood by Haruki Murakami, often cited as his best book Definitely one of his more popular ones, and kind of different in vein and tone, really, than a lot of his other stuff. A lot of his stuff is definitely steeped in magical realism, where the characters don't really know what's going on. Like, is this real or not? And there's like talking animals and different realms. You're like, what the hell? But this one, I think, is supposed to be more grounded in reality and kind of, like a love story, really. But yeah, I'm interested to see how Haruki Murakami does with this type of storytelling. And I've given a bunch of his books 5 stars, or if not 4.5. So I don't think it's that crazy for me to include this on my 5-star predictions. He is one of my favorite author. Ugh, I cannot talk today. He is one of my favorite authors, after all. So I'm gonna hope that this is a new favorite. Probably my favorite is still Hard-Boiled Wonderland and the End of the World, but also I love Wild Sheep Chase. I really enjoyed Kafka on the Shore. I really enjoyed After Dark. But yeah, hopefully this is a new favorite. Another book that will be a buddy read on Book Astronomer Discord. It's going to be the last book we read for Thrill, Chill, or Kill in December. This is our pick for December. I'm excited for this. I know there's been mixed opinions on this book, but that's kind of why I'm excited for it. I'll explain. It's The Writing Retreat. The Writing Retreat. Good God, I cannot speak. It's The Writing Retreat by Julia Bartz. And like I said, this is our Thrill, Chill, or Kill book club pick for December, which makes sense because of all the snow. It probably takes place in winter. Good pick. But yeah, I'm super excited for this. And one of the main reasons, I love the premise and everything. And I think it's supposed to be kind of Agatha Christie-esque, which, she's one of my favorite authors, especially for mystery and thrillers, obviously. But one of the main reasons I'm excited for this is because it's so polarizing. It's got a pretty low rating on Goodreads. And for thriller and horror books, that can kind of go my way, because a lot of my favorites do have lower ratings on Goodreads, like Zoe Stage, Caroline Kepnes, or even some books like The Grip of It just have really low ratings. But I love them. And horror and thriller can definitely be kind of divisive in that way. And I tend to, like some of the more unpopular ones for whatever reason. Maybe I just have bad taste. But whatever. I like myself. But yeah, this book I am super excited for. If I don't give it 5 stars, I've never read this author. I don't really know too much about the book itself. This is just kind of a gut feeling pick. I have the gut feeling that I'm going to love this book. So yeah, take that, BookTube. And my last pick here may be a little weird because it's actually 2 books, and one of them I have actually read before, which, 5-star prediction on a book that you already gave 5 stars to is just kind of shitty. But actually, in fact, I did not give this first book 5 stars. I'm going to just go ahead and talk about both of them here. I'm talking, of course, about The Dragon's Path, which I have read and gave 4.5 stars, and the sequel, The King's Blood. Both by Daniel Abraham, and both, they're the first 2 books in the Dagger and Coin series, which I believe is 5 books. And yeah, I'm going to, I read this book last year thinking I was just going to, kind of read them all, back to back. But of course, that didn't happen. And then this year, I was like, okay, I'm going to do my reread of this book and then catch up. But it's looking like I'm not going to have time for any of that. So it's probably going to be a series that I read all the way through in 2025. If y'all are interested in joining me, we could potentially do a read along for that if you want. But in order to do that, I am going to have to reread The Dragon's Path, because there is definitely going to be a lot of stuff that I don't remember. I do remember really enjoying the book, though. It wasn't perfect necessarily, but I did really enjoy the characters. And also, it took a long time for me to realize how the characters are connected, how the story kind of makes sense in a broader scheme. And definitely whenever you're reading, or, this might just be me, but maybe y'all too. Whenever I'm reading the first book in a fantasy series, it can sometimes be hard for me to give it a higher rating, just because I'm the learning factor of I gotta learn all these people's names. I gotta learn everything, really. You're starting from bottom. But yeah, I did really enjoy that despite all of that. And actually going back to reread it, I might actually enjoy it more now that I kind of have a footing. I at least know what's going on. And I do enjoy the characters. So it could be bumped up to 5 stars. And then obviously the King's Blood, I'm super excited to get to because I want to know what's going to happen next. So this series in general could be a new favorite of mine. So I'm just going to throw it out. Both books, I'm going to predict 5 stars. All right, so those are my 5-star predictions. I'm going to try to get to almost all of these books. Like I mentioned, King's Blood, like Dagger and Coin is going to be next year. But a lot of these other books I do want to read this year. Will I have time to get to all of them? Probably not, but a lot of these books I am definitely getting to. Like Dear Hannah, when that comes out, I'm going to read the crap out of that. Wind and Truth, yeah, forget about it. I'm reading that whether I'm in the middle of something or not. And a couple of these are buddy reads. So like The Writing Retreat, we're going to definitely be reading that in December. Norwegian Wood, like I mentioned, with Ian the Reader, we're going to be buddy reading that in July during the readathon. Stepping Off, I'm going to read during the readathon. And then some of these other books, might be thrown in my TBRs randomly, but nevertheless, I'm excited to read all of these, and I am predicting 5 stars for all of them. Am I going to be right or correct on all of them? Most certainly not, but I just want another 5-star read for 2024. Like last year, I gave not like a whole lot, but by this point, I had given a few books 5 stars. I've only given one book that's not a reread 5 stars so far this year. I want a new favorite book. And a lot of the books I've read this year, I don't know if I'm just getting more picky or what, but I've just been giving books 4.5 stars. I'm like, maybe this could have been tweaked, or like, I didn't like that aspect necessarily. Maybe I'm just being more critical. I don't know. I usually give out more 5 stars though. So with this video, hopefully I can put out the energy of like giving books 5 stars again. Will it happen? We'll see. But definitely let me know if you agree with me on any of these books. Have you read these books? Did you give them 5 stars? What are your 5-star predictions? I want to know down below. Let me know, please. And of course, if you watch this video, well, if you're watching it, you've watched it. That's a dumb thing to say. If you enjoyed the video, please give it 5 stars. I am all over the place for this video. But yeah, like and subscribe. And, I have my Patreon down below if you want to sign up for more me madness. But yeah, I've got my Amazon wish list. Like and subscribe. And Book of Stormer Discord down below, where we're doing a whole bunch of stuff. Throw, Chill, or Kill, Ray Bradbury Book Club, Legends of the First Empire read-along. We're still continuing with the Harry Potter read-along. We got a whole bunch of crap going on. That's awesome. So yeah, thanks for watching, and get out of here.